Good afternoon and welcome to Libertarian Counterpoint Podcast. We're coming at you on November 27th, the day after Thanksgiving. It's still kind of getting through whatever happened in the election, but before we jump into any of that, I want to introduce you to the panel. Up in our left-hand corner, we have our Screaming Eagle of Freedom, Tim Everett, a pilot in the state of California. And up in our right-hand corner, we have Leon, the word Brathwaite, last word in liberty. He is a retired engineer in the state of California. And my name's Jason McPhee, and I'll be your host today. Before we get into any of the topics, I just wanted to let you know that there is a way to give feedback. It's at counterpoint@libertariancounterpoint.com. If you're watching live, you can send questions that we might try and answer during the show. And if you're seeing it after the fact, we'd love to hear from you if you have any experiences related to the COVID lockdowns or, the riots that have happened, if your business is hurt, lost your job, any of that kind of stuff. Also, if you're interested or if you're thinking about leaving California, we kind of want to get the perspectives of some of those people, and we've interviewed a few on the show already, and so we'd certainly be willing to consider that. So please send any of that to counterpoint@libertariancounterpoint.com. Okay, well, let's jump right into the situation. As we said, that we're kind of not sure exactly how we're transitioning on the presidency at this point. It looks like Biden won, but there's still legal challenges. And Biden, though, has started to talk about some of the stuff he's going to do. And one of the things that it sounds like he probably will do is to reinstate something that Trump canceled, which is implicit bias and diversity training in a lot of state agencies. And this is something that is kind of interesting because Trump didn't really address this until just months before the election, right, when I guess he kind of realized what was happening, that they were spending money in a lot of government agencies to essentially teach kind of some intersectionality stuff, implicit bias, just the assumption that everybody is, racially biased in the workplace, and another diversity training. And I actually had an experience myself of recently going through some of that too. But this is something where Biden, seems to be sort of, the religion of his party, I guess, and so they're probably going to reinstate what Trump did. And just curious if any of you guys have any thoughts on that.
Well, I have a question, a real quick question. The diversity training that Trump canceled was federal only, right? Not to do with states. So the states are still free to either teach it or not teach it. And this is only regarding the federal government. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, we did that one show on it. Anyway. I think we did, or did we?
Yeah, we did. We spoke about it. We had one of our best shows about that race issue.
Yeah, and just to let you know, we've talked several times on this show about different issues around race, because in 2020, you literally can't get away from racial identity politics. It's just part of the foundation. Anyway, sorry, Tim. Jump back to you.
Yeah, no, I really don't have anything to add that hasn't been said already, but maybe Leon, this is going to be a tremendous waste of resources and money if they start doing that on all the federal occupations. But Leon, what do you think?
Well, it's just the continued march towards destroying our values that came from Western civilization. Mm-hmm. These people see Western civilization, individual rights, property rights, capitalism, all these things. They see these things as evil, and it needs to be destroyed. And all of these things, critical race theory, all this diversity training, and all these sort of things, are nothing but this continued march to destroy it and take us to this utopia, this damn utopia that is going to change our lives and make all the puppies warmer and all the skies bluer. It is a bunch of damn nonsense. And I don't know when we're going to stop this thing. You look around us. You know what? Years ago, here's the destruction of my career with the state. Years ago, they used to have this diversity training, and they required us to go to it, and I refused. And I have never attended this diversity training. Damn nonsense. Well, of course, that was a black mark against me. black mark, that's kind of a funny statement, Yes. But the whole idea was that this political correctness is nothing but a march to destroy the values of Western civilization, which have brought us to where we are, individual rights with a high standard of living. That's all they are trying to do. They're trying to take us to this damn utopia, which we'll never get to.
Yeah, and this is one of the kind of craziness of it. Is you mentioned that it's about individual justice. I mean, that's what we really need to be after. And if we appreciate individual justice, we should solve all those other problems, right? I mean, all those other problems should go away if we focus on individual justice. We recently just had Prop 16 that they tried to pass here in California, which literally wanted to take out of the Constitution of the state that the state could not discriminate on the basis of race or sex. And they wanted to remove that. The same people who are trying to push this diversity training into, government and other businesses. So it really makes you, I mean, it really lets you see what it is that they're after. This isn't something where they're looking to remove discrimination on the basis of race. They literally want to engage in discrimination on the basis of race. So,
and they always, and the thing about it, they always try to find, whenever they want to bring about their leftist agenda, they always want to find some nice name to call it. Oh, diversity training. Now, who could be against that, right? Until you find out what is the rot within what they are trying to teach, what the indoctrination they are trying to provide to our children. Until you find that out, you're this nice, sweet name, song so nice and wonderful. Diversity training. We all should be sensitive to race. What the hell does that mean anyway? No, seriously, what the hell does that mean, being sensitive to race? All of us belong to some race or the other. Anyway, race is a manufactured thing by human beings anyway. But what does it mean to say that we should be sensitive to race? Yeah. And we should be sensitive to ourselves? Well, I really am puzzled by this, that people keep talking this nonsense.
I went through 8 years of Catholic schools with Irish Catholic nuns teaching me. I already have enough guilt feelings, pent up inside from all of that. And I don't need more by going to this training that's going to make me out as the bad guy.
Well, and that's the whole mantra of these diversity training. You guys and your whiteness or their white privilege, and that's what it's all about. You're trying to oppress people like me. Is that what they're trying to teach us?
I don't know. It could be, but judging from the color change in your beard, you're turning white on us, Leon. You're getting whiter all the time. You just got to start it. Throw some up there on top too.
Well, Tim, you see, this is just the thing. I'm not helping them destroy whiteness, I'm trying to help you guys. I'm trying to help you guys.
I see that. I've been watching your beard every session here, and it's getting whiter all the time.
Yeah, it's a lost cause already. I don't even try to change it. It's a lost cause.
well, and here's part of the issue. I mean, with the craziness of what these people are after, is they want us to take action on something that we can't measure. I mean, exactly how white is Leon's beard? What metric are we going to use to determine if it's a black beard or if it's a white beard, right? I mean, and one of the things that's interesting about Leon's beard is it's changing, whereas they're looking for something I suppose doesn't change. I guess. Yeah, I mean, Elizabeth Warren couldn't figure out what race she was, and she went through a genetic test that said I guess she was 1 in 2,000th or something. And
some minuscule number like that. Yeah. But even that the issue of my beard raises an interesting issue. Now look at me now. So my beard is white, but look at the color of my hair, man.
Yeah.
It's never been dyed. Look at the color of my hair.
That's amazing.
So the metric now is what is the metric we're going to use?
I don't know.
Or my black hair? Which one?
The location of the hair. I mean, is that now important? The location is lower on the face or higher.
Tell me this thing. Yeah, really.
I think if you go through that training, the first thing they do is tell you to shave that stuff.
Shave
off.
that beard here. You're not helping the cause. You're supposed to destroy the whiteness here. Get rid of the damn beard.
This is something though that's important. If you're ever going to craft a law or regulation, you have to have a measurable metric to know when that law is being complied with or violated. And I mean, the idea that these people want to have something that says you're black or you're white, how do we tell? I don't know. I mean, that's essentially what they're doing, right? They literally don't have a way to tell, but they're going to say that they're going to fix everything based upon something they can't measure. And
they're getting used to that though with the sex thing. There's more than two sexes. There's an unlimited number of sexes out there, so it's not this male-female nonsense. And so if that's true, then there could be a bazillion different races, and they're used to that kind of stuff. Apparently, that kind of confusion.
Well, I don't mind their confusion. Is when they want to impose it upon us when I have the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's truly the libertarian perspective, which is why we don't want these guys to, force. Why we don't want the government solution, because it forces it on everybody.
Exactly.
But speaking of another crazy government program that's just along the same vein, and California. This happened a little bit earlier in the year in September, but California actually passed, and of course we're speaking of California. It's like why are we always here in California? But anyways, it's a reparations task force passed, and I don't think we made it to that on the show in a previous show yet, but so I wanted to get to it on this show that was sort of racial focused, but the reparations task force. The Congress or the legislature in California passed it, and Governor Newsom signed it. And essentially, it's to design a commission that will study the lingering impacts of slavery and make recommendations to lawmakers by 2023 on details of how to compensate for that, which is kind of strange for California to be engaging in that on itself. The idea that this was sort of slavery was a national problem, took place a long time ago. And I'm not sure if we're hitting technical problems or not, but anyways, is this something where, how do you decide how much, just like we were saying, how white or black is somebody? Well, how much were you affected by slavery too, what level of reparations, how shall we measure this? And it just seems to be another hopeless cause of the left. You guys have any thoughts on that?
Is that because California was not even a part of the United States when slavery was a part of the laws of the United States, and then after the Civil War, it was, or I shouldn't call it that, the war between the states, it was abolished. And so, what's that got to do with California? If anything, California ought to give itself back to Mexico, the people they took it from. So,
if they're so concerned about righting the injustice.
Exactly. Exactly. And so we just need to cede the state back to Mexico if we're going to be having any kind of talk about reparations. You talk about somebody that was stiffed out of some nice land. It's Mexico being stiffed out of California. So there you go. Anyway, so what do you think, Leon?
So this bill is nothing but feel good for white liberals. That's all it is. Okay, and they're gonna make all of us victims. All of us who me. They're gonna make me into a victim. I wasn't born here. I do have slavery ancestry, but I wasn't born here. I have no connection to American slavery, none whatsoever. Okay, but they're gonna make all of us into victims, and they're gonna make all you guys just happen to have the right hue or the wrong hue, depending on how you look at it. They're gonna make all of you guys criminals by saying that you're responsible for the rest of us who happen to have darker hue. This is madness. This is madness incorporated. Because these people. Go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm interrupting because they would have given you $1,000 in reparations, but because of your beard, They got to cut that in half. It's only $500. Unless you shave it off, then you get the full grand.
Damn, Tim, you should have never told me that. Crap, no, come on. Now I feel the injustice now. Now
Yeah, see that?
Well, you know what's so hopeless about this too is how do you decide? You know, you decide to pay somebody today. Maybe a few generations got skipped on reparations, and then there's going to be future generations that probably, it's this government program, so probably they'll be worse off than they were after the program, most likely. But then what's going to happen then? I mean, essentially, how are we assuming that giving one guy a pile of money is going to fix this? Certainly, we know the government's war on poverty didn't fix this. I mean, the government's war on poverty implicitly has always been to try and right wrongs and bring supposedly different people up, you know, at different rates and all that. And yet, when we look at the war on poverty, we're about where we started, minus trillions of dollars.
Well, you know what they say. You know what they say. There was a war on poverty, and poverty won, right? You know that, right? Yeah. I mean, this is craziness. This is a second Great Society program. We're gonna fix all the wrongs of the past by acknowledging, certain people were enslaved and the impact have lasted all of these years, and now we're going to give some people some money and everything is going to be nice and wonderful. For crying out loud, stop this damn nonsense, please.
Yeah. Well, speaking of other, you know, race-related stuff that's going on that's kind of crazy, after the Biden won, there was actually kind of a weird thing happened. I believe it was here at a local school district in California, but the wife of a school board president apparently was upset at the election results, and she tweeted regarding Kamala Harris, all she needed to be qualified was a black, you know, and then P word essentially, and no brain needed. Okay. And so that made, you know, some people, you know, upset. I mean, it seemed like, you know, this is kind of a weird thing, you know, for somebody to be tweeted. And I guess the president of the school board, I believe, had to step down from his position. But it does kind of beg the question that if race and intersectionality is so important to so many people, you know, is there any truth to this kind of you know, thing? I mean, it's sad. I hate to think that that's why anybody is getting any particular position or people are voting for anybody. But if that is the focus of so many people to say, oh, what, you know, we have to measure every drop of melanin, I guess, that may be in your system. I just, you know, I guess it seems inevitable that this is the type of thing people are going to be talking about or thinking when somebody is you know, given a job like this or voted for a system like this, when a big part of the discussion is about race, you know, when they're trying to decide who to elect. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I mean, it is clear. I mean, what that woman said was despicable. There's no doubt about that. But she have her right of free speech. Now, I don't like what she said. I mean, but we spoke about on the show about the issues surrounding the selection of Kamala Harris. I mean, this woman could have chosen her words a little better, I think, personally. But Kamala Harris was primarily selected because Joe Biden was trying to appease the black community, which voted for him in heavy numbers, who saved him during the primary. And then he turned around and made two racist statements. So he was stuck. He had to pick a black woman.
Oh, yeah. And for anybody who's not aware, Joe Biden during the campaign says, if you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. I mean, that's what he literally told people. So,
right. And then he said, blacks all think alike. Those were not his words, but he did imply that they were monolith. So, but the point is though, whenever this is the identity politics that the Democrats play, they play it and they play it very well. Okay, that's how they get their votes. And look at all the difficulties right now about fraud allegations that is ongoing right now as we speak. Where you think the fraud occur? In major cities that are Democratic and primarily black. That's where it is right now as we speak. So of course you're going to have people making statements like this woman made. Well, it's an idiotic statement. It's despicable. But these things are going to happen when you play in identity politics. How do you avoid that? And then everybody want to get upset because of the statement the woman made. And it's worse. The woman made a statement and her husband is paying the price for it. Now talk about crap here. Okay, this is beyond the pale now here. That somebody else is paying for a mistake of his wife in this particular case. But this is what identity politics produces. This sort of thing.
Yeah, if you divide us by race, how is it possible then for anybody to avoid race in their analysis of anything if everything is measured and divided by race?
The exact point. The exact point.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up about the husband paying the price. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that one. Where's that one come from? It's like I wouldn't have resigned. Fire me if you want.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you want to fire me for something my wife tweeted or whatever. Fire me, but I wouldn't resign and just lay down like that. But anyway, there we have it.
Yeah. Well, there's one other story I wanted to get to before we run out of time here. During the riots, we're kind of going through some of the aftermath of all that. I guess I suppose we'll be untangling some of the legal issues around that for quite a long time. But in Portsmouth, Virginia, there was quite a viral in 2020, but there was sort of a viral story that went out of people who were pulling a statue down, and a person got their head bashed in by the statue as it was falling, and they were trying to pull some Civil War statue, I guess, down. And in this takedown of the statue was illegal. It wasn't something that was in an organized fashion, which, that should be up to the right of a community if they want to vote to take something down. But this was not done in an organized fashion. This was something where literally a mob gathered and they tore the statue down. And it turned out that some of the people leading that mob were politicians, Democrat politicians in that community. And so the police chief, after reviewing all the video, and she's a woman of color, this police chief, and she saw that there was a woman of color who was a politician who was leading this. And so she charged her. She filed charges against the woman because this was an illegal action. And now she's been fired, the police chief, for pursuing, essentially enforcement of the law. And that's in Portsmouth, Virginia. I believe the police chief's name is Green, is her name. Just wondering if either of you guys have any thoughts on that.
What happened to the person that the Democrat that was leading the riot?
Charges dismissed, I believe.
Charges dismissed.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, really? Were they? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, shucks.
So.
There you have it. Well, that sounds like. It sounds like what's the term for some country that is not got the rule of law anymore? It's just
Banana Republic.
A banana republic. That's what it sounds like. Sounds like a banana republic. So there you have it, Portsmouth. Good job. Great job. Go ahead, Leon.
This lawlessness is taking over our society now. Remember, we spoke about this situation where in Missouri, I believe it was St. Louis, these people broke down the people's gate. They went on private property. The guy pulled out his gun to protect himself, and they end up charging the guy and his wife.
Yeah.
Now it's another thing here. All right, the police chief is doing her job, trying to stop the vandalism and all that kind of stuff and things like that. And now she's going to pay the price for doing her job. Okay? For doing her job. Lawlessness is becoming a part of our society at an unhealthy rate. And George Orwell, 1984, is coming true. The good people are turning bad, and the bad people are turning good in the eyes of society. And we have to do something about this, and do something about this soon. Otherwise, we're going to be in big trouble in this great land of ours.
Yeah. Well, then, as we looks like we're getting near the end of the program, and that is the time for our Knucklehead Noise Patrol, and that's where we try and find something kind of ridiculous that somebody has said out there, usually a politician, but not always, and not in this particular case. After the election results came in, and it has appeared that Biden has won, Whoopi Goldberg was on her show, The View, and what she said to Trump supporters was, suck it up like we sucked it up. How dare you question the election? And then she went on to say, when you know who was elected 4 years ago, and she says that because this is Trump derangement syndrome. She's gone like 4 years without saying Trump's name. But anyways, she said, when you know who was elected 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton didn't say, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't feel right. Stop the count. She didn't say, this isn't fair. I'm not going. She didn't say any of that. So all of you now, suck it up like we sucked it up. And I'm thinking, oh, so we should just claim that the Russians were involved for 4 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that how to suck it up? I don't know.
And all of a sudden, clamor for the getting rid of the electoral college. That kind of stuff too. Yeah. And of course, the whole time being right on board and united like good little puppy dogs. And we're all going to be behind. We're going to put our differences into the past, and we're going to support our President Trump, who was legally elected. And so there we, us Democrats are going to be
not my president for 4 years.
Yeah, exactly.
She won't even say his name for 4 years.
Hillary had walked around, made every excuse in the book as to why she lost. None of it had to do with her being a horrible candidate and probably a horrible person. None of it had to do with that. But now that we have this situation, now Whoopi is trying to tell us we should suck it up, And even that is a lie. Even that is a lie, because after the 2016 election, Jill Stein, who was supported by the Democrats, she was a presidential candidate for the Green Party. She was challenging the results in 3 states, in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. So this nonsense that Whoopi Goldberg is talking is just that, a bunch of damn nonsense and some lies.
Yeah. Well, what disturbs me about it too is, as a libertarian, I've voted for the last few libertarian candidates at the national level for, I don't know, the last 3 elections or so. But we have never, gone out and burned everything down because our president. I can't remember the last time libertarians got upset and started destroying their neighbor's property or claiming the Russians did. So, I don't know. I mean, it's like, kind of like, well, I wish Whoopi sucking it up would have actually sucked it up for 4 years. We might have had some sanity. Anyway, we're about at the end of the show. And so I wanted to thank you all for joining us on this holiday weekend. And if you want to catch more of our shows, you can catch us at Libertarian Counterpoint. Do we have an overtime session coming up? Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to wrap this show up now, and we will stick around for an overtime in case there is anything. But thank you all for joining us so much. And if you want to catch our shows, libertariancounterpoint.com or on Facebook at Libertarian Counterpoint, and we will see you at the next one. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
Jules.
Okay, so we have a question. So this is our overtime session now. We have a viewer from. Let's see, his name is, I hope I'm not butchering the name, but it's Masije Joram Kinjojo, and he's watching from Uganda under dictator Museveni, now 37-year one-man rule. Oh, well, gosh, it says Mount Race is humanity. So, thanks for watching us. I was glad to know we have people in other parts of the world that are that value liberty, and we certainly hope that you're doing well over there. I certainly like the icon you're using, Milton Friedman. He's certainly one of my heroes. It sounds like, so you're saying black is just a coined word, and it's it's one of those. One of the funny things I saw a long time ago was when we had the word, which word is going to be used for race. It always gets politically sensitive from time to time. And so we had, at one point people were called black if you were black. At one point, they called people colored. I don't know if that's acceptable or not. It seems to always gets changed. And then they started using the term African American. And one of the funny things was I saw an interview of sort of a mainstream media person interviewing a person from Africa, and they called him an African American. He said, "I am not an African American." but it gets to be so meaningless. We're trying to use this culturally, politically sensitive terminology that we just lose all of our senses for what it actually means, and we start calling people things they're clearly not. You know, somebody who's from Africa, calling them an African American. But yes, I just, you know, I wish people would stop dividing so much on race and see us for our humanity. I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts or want to share with our guests?
I remember the white golfer Gary Player used to joke about being the only true African American that he knew, because he was born in Africa, South Africa, and he became an American citizen later on in life. So he truly was African American. They had dual citizenship, and he used to joke about that. And anyway, so it always reminds me of that.
You know, this issue came up. This very same issue Tim is describing came up with me and a co-worker of mine. She too was born in South Africa. She could trace she have told me she could trace her history in South Africa 250 years back. She's now an American citizen.
Yeah.
So is she an African American? She's white. She's white like you guys.
She's African American. Yeah. Right. It's like, because she has dual citizenship.
This is the nonsensical of this thing of trying to say African American and black is the same thing.
Yeah.
It is not. Okay? Yeah. Our humanity that stretches across what we call race. But this thing about African American, it's such a I don't know. I would even say a racist term to be used, and quite frankly, and even I use it sometimes depending on where I'm at. But most times I don't use it, and I don't want people to call me African American because I'm not. Okay, yeah. I have African ancestry, which I have no problem with. But don't tell me I am an African American. No. I have no concept of what that means in terms of
you have dual citizenship, don't you?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I probably still do. I don't have I don't have a passport, a Trinidad and Tobago passport anymore. I don't, but I only have an American passport now. But I could, but I could have dual citizenship. I could if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But even if I do have a dual citizenship, it's not going to be any country in Africa. It's going to be Trinidad.
No, it'll be in the Caribbean.
Yeah. But it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous term.
Yeah. Well, you know. Oh, sorry. You going to go on, Leon?
No, I was just going to finish. But there's only one race. Okay, it's only one race. Yes. It's a human race. Yep. But what have happened is that man have found a way. Man are using that in the generic term. Have found a way to divide us, and dividing is conquering. Dividing is divisiveness. Dividing is war, and that's what happens.
Yeah,
we are heading along that path.
Yeah,
where we end up fighting each other just because of the color of our skin, just like people have done over the centuries.
Well, this is the scary thing too, is because it's not so much, it's not a good thing when anybody decides to just see people superficially for their race. But where it becomes most dangerous is when government starts doing it. And I mean, once government starts making a decision where it is literally labeling certain people with different rights based upon their race. We saw this with slavery. We saw it with Jim Crow laws. I mean, it's when government does it, because literally when the market does it, if an individual within the market does it, he pays a price, because, this kind of a bias is an irrational bias, and it is most likely going to cost you some of your customers and some of your market share. And so, we saw this with the Jackie Robinson story. You had all these baseball teams, and they weren't taking advantage of all of these black players out there who were good talent. And finally, one team starts to do it. I mean, laws weren't required to do it. They weren't saying you have to have a certain number of black players. Literally, somebody said, my God, some of these guys are really good. I want them on my team. And they got Jackie Robinson on, and he led the way to other players because they wanted to compete. That was the issue. They said, my gosh, they just got this guy that we're ignoring because of his skin color, and they're kicking our butts now, right? And that is the way to get this reform. And by the time the Voting Rights Act came along and tried to fix this stuff in government in 1965, because Jackie Robinson came in, I think, in 48 or 49. It was sometime around then. But by that time, black people were overrepresented in baseball at that point. So here comes government to fix the problem. And in the area where markets were allowed to function, the problem didn't exist anymore. At least, there are certainly some problems with discrimination in markets that they played in. But every team had black players, and they were overrepresented in baseball at that point, all because of competition, because it was an irrational bias, and the market got rid of it. And it does it fast compared to government, which, you can literally go for centuries with this kind of nonsense if you let government deal with it.
Well, even that word you use, Jason. I know you don't mean anything nefarious about it, but that word, underrepresented or overrepresented. We are all human beings.
I agree.
Americans. I mean,
I agree.
Who could be overrepresented or underrepresented? Anyway, you see what is happening here? Yeah. What is happening here in our society now? It's no longer the content of our character. It's no longer the color of our conduct. It's no longer the condition of our competence. It is just the color of our skin should determine who get benefits and who don't. That is what they want. That is what they're trying to get to. And this is where this whole overrepresented and underrepresented comes from. It is damn nonsense that is destroying us, that is putting barriers between people like me, who look like me, and people who look like you. When there's nothing about our skin color that should determine anything about whether we should have any sort of voluntary interaction. There's nothing about my skin color or your skin color that should determine that. It should be the contents of our character, the condition of our competence, and those things that should determine whether we interact or not. But I heading quickly in the direction where the skin color is going to determine everything.
I completely agree with you, Leon, but I say that because overrepresented and underrepresented are kind of the sick metric that they're using to divide us up by skin color. And when you look at their own metric, the market succeeded where they came along after the fact, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's just,
yes.
Yeah. So, any thoughts, Screaming Eagle?
No, not really. No, when Leon cuts loose, I just like to stand back and watch it, man. He's awesome.
The word.
Yeah, the last word in liberty. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's so sad though that this has to be something in this that we're still so tied up with race. But as long as government is carrying the banner, trying to lead, this stuff with race, we're never going to get out of it. That's the sad truth of it.
Well, Well, the Democrats have to keep it up. Otherwise, they're going to lose what they think is a major portion of their base. They've got to keep up this facade that they are in the corner for the downtrodden, poor black person that just can't do it on his own. Good thing the Democrats and the Avengers are here
to save us. Yes,
to save us all. Yeah.
For those of you, that comment was from a recent show where somebody commented that Biden's cabinet looks like superhero.
I don't know if the Democrats have fully comprehended the results of the election. I know it's looking right now that Biden is going to take the presidency, but there's some underlying data here that they should be really scared of. Trump got 8% of the black vote in 2016. He got 12% this time. Okay, that's significant. He got 18% of black men to vote for him. Okay, that is significant. The trends are not good for the Democrats. The Democrats cannot win unless they have at least 85% of the black vote. Another thing, Hispanics. Trump did not get a majority of it, but he far exceeded Hillary's. He far exceeded his own totals the last time, and Mitt Romney's total when he ran against Obama. And so percentage-wise, he had done fantastic with Hispanics, especially in Florida. And that's how he easily won Florida. Those are trends that are trending against the Democrats. And I don't know if they have truly comprehend the magnitude of what was happening in this election, even though they're rejoicing at Biden taking over the presidency.
Yeah. Well, it's that I think maybe our overtime may have reached its last word here with that, Leon. I don't know. Did anybody have any last thoughts before we close out?
Not me.
Well, I hope you all have a happy rest of your holiday weekend, and stay safe. And we'll be right on top of hopefully what happens with this election shakeout, because things keep changing by the day. So hopefully tune in for our next show, and hopefully we'll have more for you then, from discussion on a libertarian, anti-mainstream media viewpoint.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Oh. Okay. Well, thanks so much, and thanks for that comment. I can't remember exactly how to pronounce it, but it was Mwesiji. Thanks for your comment, and we'll look forward to your future comments. So thank you.
Thank you.